Welcome to Brews and Boxing, Unanimous Decision, Episode 2. I'm here with Filthy Rich and Judge Jimmy James, Triple J. How you boys doing?
What's good, man? What's happening, Jimmy James?
Doing very well, Filthy Rich. Very well, Raiter Live. How are you guys?
Oh, living the dream, wishing I'd wake up, So I'm going to talk a little bit about our show here. We're actually going to change the format a little bit than we did last week. We're actually going to move this into a super show. So Brews and Boxing, we talked about a big announcement last week about the future of the show. The future of the show is we're actually going to combine these two shows. So you're going to have experts Filthy Rich and experts Judge Jimmy James debate all topics on the show. I'm going to host them next week. We're going to combine the shows together in the fact that I'm going to be judging these guys' Filthy Fives starting next Wednesday. So this Wednesday is kind of a transition show. This show, we'll still talk about a little news. We're going to still talk about our Filthy Five from last week, the light heavyweights. We'll touch on that. We'll touch a little football because Judge Jimmy James is a football expert, I'll tell you that. And we'll touch a little bit on what we're going to do for the future of this show, the future of this program. But this is going to be the last episode of Unanimous Decision as we're going to combine the two shows together because combining is always good. And from now on, it's going to be the two experts of Judge Jimmy James, Triple J, as I like to call him, and Filthy Rich, going to be debating topics. Boys, welcome. So,
did you guys bring your tecate?
Oh, but well, we did. We're going to get into that because we all have to get into Brews and News. We're going to touch a little bit about Brews and News because we're going to give you a little preview of what the shows are going to be like from now on. We're not going to play a game show this week. We'll start one on Wednesday, but this Wednesday we'll have all the normal things that you love, like Brews and News, Filthy Five, 13th round. The 13th round may become the game show round from now on. I'm not sure yet. Got to play with it a little bit, but that seemed to be the best part of the show last week. We had a lot of fun with it, so we're going to keep that in. And so this week we're going to touch a little bit on Brews and News. So let's ring the bell and get into Brews and News. All right, gentlemen, Brews and News. What we have to do is we have to crack a brew, and somebody has a special brew that he wants to talk about because somebody lost the Tyson versus Trump battle last week, and that person is Triple J, Judge Jimmy James. Judge Jimmy James, you want to tell us the beautiful, wonderful drink you are drinking this week?
Yes, unfortunately, I did lose that little game show, and I have to drink Tecate Titanium.
Oof.
It actually has a little story with it, which I'll share with you guys right now.
Please tell us the story.
The perfect beer just got even better. Its fruity touch and aroma and flavor are the result of an obsessive, tireless, and demanding process that distinguishes it with its high alcohol content but great drinkability. The combination of imported malts and the sophisticated process of temperature variations are the secret that creates the refreshing, smooth, but brave, noble, and audacious taste. Tecate Titanium for those who are bold.
Well, since you are bolder, let's crack those open and have ourselves a good little time here.
Nice swallow.
Oh. Yeah, refreshing.
Apparently, Tecate, refreshing. Apparently, Tecate probably won't sponsor us, but we'll put the link down below. Maybe, no, we won't. But enjoy that as we talk in a little more Brews and News. Gentlemen, we'll get into Brews and News here. We got three topics to talk about this week. First one I want to talk about is Chris Eubanks says that Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. I'm sorry, I was still laughing about the Tecate Titanium. One more time. Chris Eubanks, Triple G, says Triple G, Gennady Golovkin is ripe for the taking right now, and he wants to fight him. Good luck. He's still got Canelo in the future. What do you guys think about Chris Eubanks Jr. calling out Triple G? Filthy Rich, we'll start with you, buddy.
So I don't have a problem with anyone calling out the elder statesman Golovkin. I think, what is he pushing, 36 years old, something like that. I think everyone wants a piece of him now so it looks good on their resume. Same goes with Sergey Kovalev and Manny Pacquiao. People want to get a piece of these guys before their career is over. But Eubank needs to be careful because he is not the one to talk. Golovkin beats Eubank. Golovkin still cleans out this division. I don't know who has beaten him yet, and I don't see anyone beating him the rest of this year, and I would say even into 2021. So you want a piece of Golovkin, bring it on. Because you know what? In order for Canelo to sign that fight, he had to look weak against Kell Brook. And he did look weak. And sure enough, he got the Canelo fight and whooped up Canelo. So if Chris Eubank wants some, bring it on, Chris Eubank. But be careful what you wish for.
Triple J?
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to have to agree with that. I mean, Golovkin is getting up there in age, 38 years old. I still think he's on the trailing end of his career. Big fights that he has left, probably not too many, but for Eubanks to call him out, it's fair enough. Big fighter, big fighters got to fight big fighters. I just don't see him having a chance, even at that point. Maybe in 2 years, if Golovkin's still fighting at 40, and that's a fight. But obviously, Triple G and Canelo is probably the one that's coming up next. I don't think Eubanks is going to get him in time to actually have it be that great of a show. But if they do make something happen instead, Eubank, I don't think he has a chance against Golovkin at all.
I don't think Golovkin's one to take the bait on kind of stuff like that. I mean, he sees the writing on the wall. He thinks people think he's softer, and he did go with the new trainer. He didn't look good in his last fight at all, and his new style isn't very good. And Eubanks, I'm sorry, he ain't gonna get a big money fight. The biggest money fight he's gonna get is that he has a shot in is against Golovkin, and I don't think he has a shot in it against Golovkin either. Just my opinion. But even if he was going to fight Golovkin, it's not going to be his next fight. And Golovkin's got a tune-up fight before Canelo, and then he's going to fight Canelo. When's he planning on fighting him? In 2021, the summer of 2021? I mean, Golovkin might be done by then. Filthy Rich, do you know is Eubanks even in the same promotion as Triple G? Is he?
I'm not 100% sure, but even Golovkin's been known to cross promote, and he will fight on, when HBO was fighting, he'd fight on HBO. It was he was stuck on HBO, so that's probably a bad example. But his contract now, I'm pretty sure DAZN will let him go over to Showtime if a fight with Charlo were to happen. Obviously, him and Canelo are on the same promotion or on the same network. As far as Eubank goes, I think Eubank's kind of in that same boat where he is going to be free to go to any network that's willing to pay the promotion the money. But I know you mentioned something about, quickly if I may, about a Golovkin tune-up fight. That's our tune-up fight. Chris Eubank, you are a tune-up fight for Golovkin. You want it now, you can have it now. You want to wait till 2021, that's fine too. But you are a tune-up fight. Stay in your lane. I think a fight with Saunders makes sense. They're both, he can get his rematch, get his revenge, a couple UK guys. That makes sense to me. But stay away from Golovkin. You don't want a piece of that.
What do you think, James?
It's Eubank. Eubank, I think, needs to fight. He needs to fight like Andrade or Charlo. If he actually, fights one of those two guys, or even a rematch with Saunders. Obviously, he lost to Saunders 6 years ago or something like that. But he needs to fight some bigger name people in order to get this accreditation that he's trying to do right now. I just don't. I'd have to agree with Filthy Rich. This would just be a tune-up fight for Golovkin to jump into Triple G Alvarez 3.
So Eubanks, if you want it, come get it. You'll get your butt whooped. And I won't pay to see it, but I'll laugh at you after it's happened, and then you will never be I don't think Eubanks will ever be in our rankings anyway. If he beat Charlo, then maybe we can talk. But
he was my number 5.
I was gonna say you better watch it. Filthy Rich loved number 5. Filthy Rich likes Eubank, but I don't think he's got a chance in this one.
Well, although he had Golovkin as number 2, so he would have Golovkin destroying Eubanks in his rankings.
Well, and keep in mind, there is quite a drop-off somewhere between 2 and 3. The only reason why I had Canelo number 1 is because he beat Kovalev. He beat the bigger guys, where Golovkin was fighting Vanes Martirosyan. He was a super
Steve Rolls.
Right, a super built-up super welterweight. and that's all Eubank really is. He's moving up, but he's still a small middleweight. He don't have a chance. Not now, probably not ever.
No, he wouldn't be able to deal with Golovkin's power. I mean, Golovkin, even at his age, has still got the power. He can put him down, and he's not going to want to stand toe-to-toe. Even, Golovkin kind of reminds me right of what I kind of hope for Golovkin. I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but you remember in Rocky III where Apollo trains him to be a different fighter, a kind of a dancing fighter, a different fighter than that. And then halfway through the fight against Clubber Lang, he goes back to his roots where he puts his hands down and runs his head back in. I'm hoping that at some point Golovkin will remember his roots in a fight and go, all right, I know what I do well. Let's go in and just have that Mexican street fight, and let's just go toe-to-toe. Let me stand here. I have the best chin in the world. I can throw a punch that's going to hurt you and put you down. And please, for the love of God, hit Canelo in the body. Hit him in the body. Nobody does that. Do it. Hit him in the
Mexican
body.
street fight. Go ahead, James. Take a sip. Thought we forgot about that, didn't you?
Oh no, trust me. I'm having a Mexican street fight every 30 seconds right now. So
a Mexican street fight will be later in the bathroom with Jimmy.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
that'll be a little rough. All right, boys. Moving on from guys that they think are past their prime but aren't actually. Thurman says he wants Pacquiao in a rematch. How do you guys thought about that? Thurman called up Pacquiao this week. We'll start with you, Filthy Rich.
I was going to let Jimmy James, but Jimmy James, as I'm talking, grab that tecate and wet the lips. As far as Thurman wanting more of Pacquiao, of course he does, because I think that's a money fight for him. I don't think anyone wants any of Thurman. He's lost all his value. Make that face again, Jimmy James.
It's just so refreshing and
perfect beer. I don't think anyone thinks Thurman has anything left in him. Nobody wants to see him fight anymore. The only match he has is something that can be made with Pacquiao. No one wants to see Thurman versus Porter again, or Garcia, or even a Crawford. No one wants to see it. Nobody. I think he's a thing of the past. I think he thinks his career is still relevant. It's not. I was never sold on Keith Thurman. He may as well pull an Amir Khan and just call out Floyd Mayweather, because I think he's a thing of the past.
Okay, first off, that's a little cruel because I had Thurman at my number 4, and he did have wins over Danny Garcia and Porter. I mean, good wins over them. And yeah, I know he's old, but he's still my number 4 guy. I think he's still relevant. I don't think he beats Pacquiao. I think Pacquiao beats him. Triple J, what do you think?
I mean, well, he's really not that old. He's only 31.
Feels like he's been around
forever. Feels like he's been around forever. Exactly. I mean, and he only has, I think it's only one loss on his record, and that's the Pacquiao, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And I mean, but he has been riddled for the last, 2 or 3 years with injuries. I mean, he sat out damn near all of 2018 or 2019 with, I don't remember what it was, a hand injury, I think, or an elbow injury.
Both. When one got healed, the other one went bad. But both things held him out that whole year, I believe.
Yeah, and I thought, from what I remember hearing, I thought he had some bone spurs or something still in his elbow, and it's just, I just don't see him. I don't see him being a contender anymore unless he can get healthy, which I don't think that's going to happen given the stage in his career, how old he is, and the fights he had, even, going as far as he did with Pacquiao. I don't see any exciting fight. I think Thurman's going to end up being a bigger name tune-up fight for a lot of the people in that division.
Well, let me ask you guys this then. Final question on that part. Do you want to see a Thurman-Pacquiao rematch, Filthy Rich?
I'll take it. I'll watch it. I think Pacquiao wins, but I'm always up for it.
Triple J?
No.
I
don't care to see it. It doesn't interest me at all. I would rather have
Pacquiao fights somebody else that's the top of that division, 100%. That would
Well,
be
funny that you should mention that, Triple J, because our third bit of news here is that your guy, Terrence Crawford, who me and Filthy Rich both rated as number 3, and you talked about last week as your possible number 1. I know you love Terrence Crawford. He was quoted in an interview this week saying that the 2 fights, obviously, that he needs to have is Pacquiao or Errol Spence Jr. And he says he wants, and he actually agreed with me, if you guys noticed, he said, I want Pacquiao because Pacquiao probably doesn't have as much time left around, and I want that on my resume. So Crawford wants Pacquiao. So discuss, should he fight Pacquiao? Is that the next logical step for Crawford, or should his next logical step be Errol Spence? And if he does fight Pacquiao, who is the winner of that fight? Triple J, we'll start with you this time.
Well, personally, I would very difficult. I see the point you guys are making, and that he's making with Pacquiao. He doesn't have much time left, but he seems to be an ageless wonder. The last fight that Pacquiao had, he looked like old Manny. It was pretty ridiculous, especially considering the last 3 fights before that he didn't look the same. But I personally would rather see Errol Spence against Crawford, even with the time that Pacquiao has. I think Pacquiao is always going to be a threat, but I would rather see Crawford Spence to see who is the number 1 in that division, and I believe Crawford would win.
Filthy Rich?
So again, my brain's all over the place, but to make it simple, the Errol Spence fight has to happen immediately. I don't care for it. I don't think Crawford beats Ugas. I don't think he beats Sean Porter. I think he is very good, but here's why a fight with Errol Spence has to happen. We saw what happened when Anthony Joshua lost to Ruiz, and the money that was lost in a fight with either Wilder or Fury. So if Errol Spence loses his O, or if Terrence Crawford loses his O to Ugas or Danny Garcia or something,
or to
Pacquiao, there's no money there anymore. So I like to think the easiest fight to make is probably with Pacquiao because of the Bob Arum connections. But we think we want to see Errol Spence. I think down the road, that's the fight we all want to see. But I have to put my ego aside and say that it actually has to happen as soon as the MGM opens up or Vegas is ready to start rolling again.
So I don't know. Crawford should fight Spence first instead of Pacquiao. You're changing your view from a week or 2 ago.
Well, here's the thing: if he loses to Pacquiao, which he may lose, that's going to cost Errol Spence a lot of money, and it's going to cost Crawford a lot of money. It's easier to make the Pacquiao fight, but he should probably go after Errol Spence or just take some tune, like, he's been fighting tune-ups his whole career. He just continue to fight tune-up fights.
Well, Errol Spence has talked about that he wants to fight Pacquiao too. I mean, could you have Crawford versus Pacquiao and the winner gets Spence after that? I mean, that's not a bad fight to have. I mean, it'd be the old school of, all right, winner gets me. Winner gets the champ.
It's true. I agree with Richie. If you want the big money fight, is going to be Crawford Spence.
Yeah, we all agree.
Undefeated records, the whole 9 yards. Pacquiao still holds a belt. So if Crawford beats Spence, there's 2. Then there's another belt on the line with Pacquiao. So there's still plenty of draw for those fights. Granted, it might not be as much, but that'll be a unification. I mean, if Crawford beats Spence, then they go Pacquiao. Then it's a unification fight. If Spence beats Crawford, then they go to Pacquiao. It's a unification fight. Either way, whoever wins Crawford Spence is going to be a unification of all the belts at welterweight. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the fight that we need to see.
Possibly, but just like we're having the problem with the heavyweights right now with Fury and Wilder, if you're going to have that fight, whoever loses is going to demand a rematch right away. And if they get that rematch right away, that's going to be 6 months after that. So we're talking a Pacquiao fight a year and a half from now. I mean, is that really going to be a draw, Pacquiao against either one of those guys a year and a half from now? I mean, sure, Pacquiao may chop someone's head off by then and become even more stronger of a Highlander, but, is that going to be a fight at Pacquiao at 65 years old that he's going to want to fight Crawford or Spence, the winner of whoever wins two of those fights? And say they split those, say they have a rematch and they split them, then what do you do?
Well, I'm telling you, man, you're talking about Manny Pacquiao being probably one of the argument for one of the best all-time pound-for-pound fighters. I mean, he is insane. He is so good, and it's crazy. I think he's going to be a draw.
Weight classes?
He's 8 weight classes.
8 weight classes.
The only person in history to do that. But he's going to be a draw because of his name, period. And he doesn't seem to slow down. So even if it's 2 years from now, he's 43 years old, that's still going to be a draw. I mean, how long did B-Hop fight?
50.
Till 50. And if you think who's in better shape, Manny Pacquiao or Bernard Hopkins, I'm going to say Pacquiao.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just worry that, like, how good a fight it's going to be depends on the sooner we can get that Pacquiao fight. Like, he may be still viable in the ring, but, like, obviously we all agree, I think we could all agree anyway, that if you wait a year and a half for Pacquiao to fight either of these fighters, his chances go significantly down in a year and a half compared to if they fought at his next fight. Like, a year and a half is a lot. A year and a half isn't a big deal when you're 28 years old, 29 years old. But when you're in the 36, 37, 38 years old, I can tell you this as a bad, fat athlete softball player, year from year, as my buddy Triple J here can tell you, year from year, I get significantly slower, and it's even harder and harder to get in shape for any kind of sporting event. I know these guys are superior athletes, but Father Time is still a mean person to deal with, and you can't beat Father Time.
Yeah, but by this time in other boxers' career, you are not the same fighter. His last fight, he showed that he's still got it, and I don't think he's going to slow it down. I think he'll be the same. He'll be the same he is right now in 4 years.
The only thing I counter with that is you can see how quickly someone changes. Like Triple G. Like Triple G was dominant in both Canelo fights, I felt. And then you watch him after that, and I know he's got a new trainer.
That's a trainer issue, 100%.
I understand
Jonathan
that.
Banks
Still, like,
ruined it.
He still didn't look like the Triple. I understand the style, but like it just didn't. He didn't have that dominance that I'm used to. I mean, maybe it's just me looking at it going, it's. I feel like Father Time may be catching up to Triple G, and I worry that thing's going to happen to Pacquiao probably sooner than later. That's my feeling. Final thoughts, Filthy Rich?
Kind of like, look, we don't know when this guy's career is going to be over. We have to assume that, I don't know what to assume with this guy. I think he
could get a record contract.
Well, we almost scratched the surface of a pound for pound all-time list. And he is on a top 10 list. If you don't have Manny Pacquiao on your top 10 list, I need to go talk golf with some people who know about golf, because I can't talk to somebody who doesn't know their boxing. It's really that simple for me. But with that said, Manny still has a few years left, a few good years left. And again, with this welterweight division, don't be surprised if he drops down in weight and fights like a Mikey Garcia, because Mikey Garcia can make 140. I think a Mikey Garcia-Pacquiao fight would be a very interesting fight. But because this is Manny Pacquiao, he's only going to fight the best. Again, he eats before weigh-in. He's going to take on all comers, and I'm willing to watch him fight anytime. He'll always be a big draw.
Final thought, Triple J?
I think there's, if you're talking about Pacquiao fighting other people in this welterweight division, there's plenty to go around. And none of the fights are easy. None of them are. But yeah, I still think I think Pacquiao will be a draw for the next at least 4 years till he's 45. After that, I think he might drop off, but I think he's got it. He is it. And I think he's going to take it. He's going to take it the long run.
I'll tell you this: if we're not on quarantine, I guarantee all three of us will get together and watch any Pacquiao fight that's coming up, and
100%.
And we'll play some yard games in Judge Jimmy James' backyard. That's what we do. We won't drink the tecate.
No, we won't.
You are.
He's drinking a lot of that right now. I think it may not be as bad as we thought it was.
The quicker I can get rid of that, the quicker I can get to my other beer.
Was that Tyson or Trump that said that?
I don't know. I'm going to have to defer to you.
All right, boys, let's move on to the Filthy Five. So, Filthy Five, we're going to start the Filthy Five next week, starting with these two giving their opinions on lightweights next week. I know we talked about that in the last week's Wednesday show where we're talking about next week be lightweights. It's actually going to be these two experts discussing lightweights next week. But we're going to touch a little bit on what we did this week with light heavyweights. And I just want to get Triple J's opinion on a few of these things. We're just going to start right from the bottom. Me and Filthy Rich both had Alvarez because he had wins over Kovalev and Pascal. Filthy Rich, you have anything you want to talk about? Talk about a little bit about Alvarez at your number 5. Refresher.
I mean, he's split with Kovalev. On any given day, he could beat Kovalev just like Kovalev can beat him. I think he can be a top in that division if Beterbiev were to move up and Bivol was injured, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of all I got. I don't think there's it is a deep division if you really look at everyone in that division. It is a pretty deep division. He just happens to be the best of the rest. That's kind of where I'm at with Alvarez.
That's kind of where I was at too. We both had him at 5 on our lists. We both really like him. Judge Jimmy James, I know you watched our show last week. How did you feel about our 5 at Alvarez?
I actually made a little list of myself. I also had Alvarez at 5.
Spoiler alert.
He is pretty old, being the fact that he's still 36. He hasn't really had that many fights, but yeah, I can't disagree with that. That's a good number 5 in that division for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when I was researching the light heavyweight division a little bit for my list, I found out that a lot of these guys are in their mid to late 30s. I mean, it seems to be the oldest division that we've talked about is the light heavyweight division. I mean, Kovalev's up there. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Bivol, I think, is up there too. I think he's in his mid 30s too. And there's just a lot of guys that are in their mid 30s. I know Pascal's like 36, 37 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these guys
came out of retirement probably twice.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are just really, really in their mid to late 30s. That seems to be – it used to be the heavyweight thing where, like, the heavyweight guys would be in their mid 30s, you know, the Foreman days when he came out of retirement and fighting guys like Lennox Lewis would fight into his late 30s, early 40s. It's kind of what the light heavyweight division is right now. So we all agree that Alvarez is a good spot at number 5. Now, number 4, me and Filthy Rich disagreed. I had Marcus Brown. He had Kovalev at 4. I liked Brown because he beat Pascal, or he should have beat Pascal. That was the loss because of the headbutt cut over the eye. That was his first loss, his only loss. I like the young guy. You like Kovalev, the old bull, the old horse. The only reason I had Kovalev out of my top 5 is because of that non-heartbeat zombie showing against Canelo, which really angered me because I really wanted Canelo to lose. And it just made me put him out of my top 5. So, Filthy Rich, I had Brown. You had Kovalev. Talk a little bit about that first.
I don't want to be that guy that says, get off my lawn. We're talking about these old dudes, but when these young light heavyweights try to fight them, they get knocked out. Get off the lawn. These old dudes, I mean, we could talk about Manny Pacquiao, we could talk about Golovkin, but these old dudes are beating up these young guys. They don't know what they're doing out there. These old, like, I don't want to keep calling them old dudes, but they're in their mid-30s.
Experienced.
these guys are from countries where you fight for a living. Marcus Brown, I mean, I think it was something his parents probably got him into. I'm not too well versed on this guy, but I mean, he's an Olympian and good stuff like that. But he wants to step on the old man's yard. He's gonna get knocked off the old man's yard. It's kind of that simple. That's maybe it's more complicated than that. But to wrap up, not a Marcus Brown bash, but as far as like Kovalev and these old guys go, they deserve spots in this top 5 ranking.
You know, Filthy Rich, I love you to death. You know that. I like to throw a young guy in there just because I think Marcus Brown's an up-and-comer. But whenever you can put me in your place or in my place like that, you sure as well do it, and I love you and respect you for it. But Marcus Brown, as I said, that was my Ugas to your list last week or the week before. You know, it was my flyer, my young guy that I keep your eye on kind of guy. I like Marcus Brown a lot. I felt like his one loss was kind of bullshit. But, you know, I mean, Kovalev, you can't argue with Kovalev's record. Kovalev's
You're going to
record.
bleep that? I thought this was a G-rated show.
You can't believe it. But you can't argue with Kovalev's record. Kovalev is obviously an amazing fighter. He's always been an amazing fighter. But as I said, when he lost to Canelo, I lost a lot of respect for him because it just felt like it was a sparring match where he's just going to lay down for him. I don't know. That's why I kept him on. I know he just won a belt. But regardless, Triple J, I had Marcus Brown. He had Kovalev. I don't know what your number 4 is. We'll go through your list at the end of it. But your thoughts on Marcus Brown and Kovalev?
Oh, look, Kovalev Canelo fight, that was purely for money. There's no way. I just don't see that being regular Kovalev, man. He went down just too easy. I think that was kind of a joke fight. I think it was just it was a setup to get Canelo more and more press, just to keep getting him money. But
and he dropped the title right after that too. He vacated the title.
Yeah, it was just I don't know, man. For how far Canelo had to come up, I just don't.
That was a catchweight fight, though, wasn't it?
I mean, it's sorta, yeah, but it was still. He still had to come up quite a bit. I mean, maybe Filthy Rich. You remember what the weight catchweight was?
So, like, let's go back to Roy Jones and Tarver. When Jones had to drop weight to Tarver, he lost. This is kind of what happens when Kovalev had to drop weight to a guy who's not VADA tested. If I have to say that again, I shouldn't have to, but he's not VADA tested. And historically, when fighters come down in weight, it never works to their advantage. I mean, it would work for Pacquiao. I know we just talked about him, but Kovalev came down for this fight. It was a big money fight. It was not VADA tested either. So I don't want to get sidetracked here, but I do want to make sure that we're keeping those things in mind with this Canelo thing.
Fair enough.
The Canelo fight just seemed like it was like a sideshow joke of a fight. It was almost like that Mayweather fighting the UFC guy.
Conor McGregor.
Gregory
it seemed like a sideshow fight.
He's a nobody.
Yeah, it's a sideshow. Let's show how great Canelo is. I mean, it's that fight was just
say that on here, man.
Well, I'll bleep it out.
Bleep it.
I mean, either way, to jump back on track. I mean, Kovalev at 4, I think that's a fine spot for him. Marcus Brown, interesting fact: Marcus Brown is the same age as Dimitri Bivol. They're both 29. That's young in this division, which is kind of crazy. Brown did lose to Pascal, but he did beat unanimously Badou Jack as well. So that's actually a pretty good name to have on his resume, at least for that part of the division. However, putting at that spot at 4, I still think it's a stretch. There's Kovalev, I think, is the better spot. I probably even put, even though he did controversial loss to Pascal, I'd probably put Pascal up there over Brown. Even though Pascal's like 40 years old or something like that, and he's the journeyman of the division. But to me personally, Kovalev is the better choice for that. But I can definitely see why you put Brown up there.
Well, I gotta disagree with one point in that Brown Pascal fight. Brown won that fight. I felt like he won that fight. He won 5 out of 7 rounds. I felt like if that would have went the distance, Brown was going to take him. That's just my opinion. Maybe not. I'm sure both of you'd watch that fight. That
The
cut was
world will
nasty.
never know.
That headbutt was nasty. It was a nasty cut, and it was a really nasty cut. Actually, I think we texted each other about that cut, how gross it was. But hey, I take a step out once in a while. You take an Ugas step, as we call that, an Ugas step. And I think Marcus Brown's the future of this division. I really do. I think he's going to be a great fighter. I'd like to see him fight a guy like Bivol. I mean, I think that'd be a great fight. I didn't know. I thought Bivol was older than that for some reason. Thanks for that knowledge in there. For some reason, I thought Bivol was older than that. I had no idea. Feels like he's been around for a long time.
He's
I've been
a
hearing
young
that
buck.
Yeah, I feel like I've been hearing that name for a long time. All right, moving on to our number 3 last week. We both had Alexander Gvozdyk for our number 3, who had that great fight against Beterbiev, who is full of heart. Just a great. Is Ukrainian or Russian? I think he's Ukrainian, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They're both.
Gvozdyk's from Ukraine.
Yeah, he is the Ukraine.
It's both
Beterbiev
close to Russia.
Russian.
Yeah.
But they're just a fantastic fighter.
United
Filthy
States
Rich.
is close to Canada. We're not. I don't want to hear it.
It's not. Ukraine is not close to Canada. No. Unless your president don't know where Ukraine is. Absolutely, Ukraine is not by Canada. It's closer to Russia than it is to Canada. Talk a little bit about Gvozdyk there, Filthy Rich, and then we'll turn it over to Triple J.
I think, in defense of Marcus Brown, he might be the future of the division. I just think it's too early to know exactly what that future is, because there's probably some other up-and-comers we don't know about yet that we'll see in the 2021 Olympics. We don't know anything yet. As far as like Gvozdyk goes, I think he is the future of the division as well. I think once Beterbiev either moves up or out or retires or whatever it may be, he could run that thing. I think Bivol is still in the way, but we don't know what Bivol's future is, and he's got a long extended future, it seems to me.
Well, Bivol has the ability to move down. Beterbiev is not going to move down. He's a monster. If anything, he's going to move up. I mean, that's one thing. And Gvozdyk, he is a beast in that division. He could remain a beast in that division. I'd be interested to see him against Bivol. I don't know who would win that fight. Triple J, what's your thoughts on Gvozdyk?
I like Gvozdyk. I actually, to be honest, before the Gvozdyk Beterbiev fight, if you recall some face-to-face meetings with Filthy Rich, I actually had Gvozdyk beating Beterbiev before the fight even started.
Whoops.
And yeah, but because Gvozdyk is, I think he's good. He's got good skills. He's got good footwork. He's got good power. I mean, before that fight, he was at about 80% for his knockout rate. He is a very good fighter. Obviously, top 3 in that division. Beterbiev, those hands are ridiculous. Those are some heavy hands, man. And he ain't flashy, but boy, oh boy, he'll hit you hard.
Let me tell you,
Gvozdyk just ran in some heavy hands.
I was in the same boat as you. I mean, it would have been like minutes before that fight started. I didn't know what side I was on. I knew I didn't know anything. I think I avoided all conversation because I did not want to place bets on either one of these guys because it could have went either way. But after round 1, I felt like I was a fool to even think that Gvozdyk had a chance against Beterbiev because Beterbiev just owned 11 rounds. I think he owned the 33 minutes of ring time the two of them had.
I'll tell you this about Gvozdyk. He showed a lot of heart in that fight. I'll tell you that. And he's the only guy. I mean, I'm not a big Beterbiev guy. Like I, as I said in the last episode, I started watching him after Triple J here told me, hey, you got to watch this fighter, Artur Beterbiev, how good he is. He's got a free fight on ESPN. I can't remember which fight that was. But I ever since then, I've been watching a few fights, and I've never seen him hurt. And I felt like Gvozdyk actually hurt him with a few of them punches. Like he staggered him a few times. I think around 5 or 6, he staggered him with one right to the chin. And Gvozdyk actually kind of has a little bit a Triple G in him too, where he will throw hands and take a hit to throw a hit. I mean, Beterbiev does that more. But Gvozdyk, he showed a lot of heart in that fight, I felt like. And he ran out of steam. I felt like his strategy in that fight was, I got to knock him out early because I ain't going to be able to last with Peter Bedev's right hand. It's
Better
not,
be it.
yeah. Sorry, I can't talk. I had
It's not
trivia
like you've been
tonight. You guys
drinking
all saw I had
tecate all
trivia tonight. I've been talking a lot now. I'm on my 5th beer. But anyway, I'm not drinking the tecate. But
I can't
Better
tell.
BF. I felt like his right hand just wears you out. I mean, that is just a monster hand. And Bosdick, I thought he was a hell of a fighter. He put up a hell of a fight in that fight. I felt like it was a very poorly refereed fight. I felt like that referee should never be allowed to referee another fight again. I felt like, what was that referee that you hated,
Weeks.
Triple J, that we talked about?
Isn't that Weeks, right?
Yeah, Richie Weeks. Was it Richie
No,
Weeks?
Tony Weeks.
Tony Weeks. Yeah, Tony Weeks. I feel like, I don't think he was in that fight, but I feel like you would hate this guy as much as you would, because this guy was all over the place. He got every knockdown wrong, I felt like. Bosdick, yeah, he gave up, but he knew at that point he wasn't going to win anymore, and I don't think he had the best cornermen for that fight either. To say the truth.
Yeah, you guys already talked about Teddy Atlas. I disagree with that. I mean, Vosdick, he literally just turned professional in 2014. He's only been a pro for 6 years, and he's got these many fights under his belt. This ain't the last you've seen of him. He knocked out Adonis Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
Vosdick ain't no slouch. Better BF definitely got him at this point, but I think skill-wise, Vosdick is more solid than Better BF. Better BF just has that power, and power does win, especially if you can land it effectively. And Better BF was landing it effectively. Less punches, better hits. That's what got Vosdick.
Yeah, the thing with Vosdick and Teddy Atlas, I don't know. I didn't know if that was his real trainer, or if it felt like it was a guest appearance kind of deal. That's why I had to text you, Filthy Rich, at the time. I'm like, is this the thing he's always been with him? But Vosdick, I liked him. I think he's a great fighter. I felt like the strategy was wrong coming into that fight. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Okay, good talk.
How's that tecate?
It's terrible. Terrible.
Hey, no bueno.
No, it's not, because this is a tall boy. It's 24 fluid ounces or 1 pint. So, no.
Next one's on me. I'll get you your next one.
Yeah, I bought this one for him, and I went high buck. I got the most expensive tecate they had in one can, and it was a $2.75 5-cent can. So, I mean, that's, tecate. If you want to sponsor us, we'll all drink it next week, but you're going to have to put up some money. You'll have to put up some money for it. All right, let's go to our number 2 here. We both had Dmitry Bivol for our number 2. We both like him a lot. He's the smaller light heavyweight. He's not a big guy. Filthy Rich, talk about Dmitry Bivol a little bit before we turn it over to Triple J.
I mean, I kind of covered everything I could. The only things I would say differently were, I caught some of that Joe Smith Jr. fight. I think it was his last fight was with Joe Smith Jr. And he was throwing some wide punches, and they were very fast punches. I've never seen speed like this out of him. I know on Wednesday I mentioned maybe he has it and he's not displaying it. But boy, did he display it against Joe Smith Jr. He does have it. He has all the tools in that toolbox to do whatever he wants. I don't see him successful against Better BF, but I see him cleaning out that division and wondering what's next.
Triple J, what do you think about Dmitry Bivol?
I like Dmitry Bivol. I've actually been watching him for quite a while. However, when I first started watching him, he had one hell of a knockout percentage. It was like 84 or 85%. And these last 4 fights that he's had, for some reason, he's had no power. No power whatsoever, which was extremely weird, especially since the first 3 fights I ever saw with him, he was knocking people out, no problem. And he was quick, and he was good with his feet, and it was and done. This one, the last 4 fights all went to unanimous decision, which he did win by unanimous decision, but he should have knocked out like Chilemba and Pascal and Joe Smith Jr. Like Joe Smith Jr., he has power, 100%. Because you saw everybody saw him knock B-Hop out the ring, even though he was 50 years old. I know Richie, you all just relax over there, but
Get off my yard.
but he did
Get off
knock
my
him out the
lawn.
ring. Like Joe Smith Jr. has some power, but he does not have that big of a chin. And Bivol just isn't knocking people down like he should be. But he is extremely fast, quick feet, very skilled fighter. He is somebody that will rival against Vosdik and Beterbiev. However, if he can't find that power again, I have a tough time figuring out if he's going to actually win cards against either Vosdik or Beterbiev, just because it's going to be a very, very good fights. I would watch any of those fights.
You worry that he's not big enough for the light heavyweight division to take on a guy like Beterbiev or Vosdik? I mean, it feels like he's a little undersized for the light heavyweight division.
I don't have a problem with his size. I got a problem with his power. He's skilled. He definitely has that enough of it. I mean, he's 6 feet tall. I mean, that's plenty. I guess maybe a little bit small for light heavyweight, but his power and his speed, or his not his power, his speed and his skills make up for the loss of his power. But just like I said, against the top people in that division, he's not going to be able. I don't know if he's going to win on the cards against a Beterbiev or a Vosdik unless he can find that knockout power again.
No, I mean, me and Filthy Rich both had him at 2. I mean, we both love him, obviously, to death. But we both agreed going to our number 1 that we don't think that he could beat Artur Beterbiev because Beterbiev is just a monster. And we both agreed this week, we're talking about, like, he may be the biggest gap of any of the champions that we talked about. He was our BAB light heavyweight champion, Artur Beterbiev. And I want to talk a little bit about him, about how monstrous he is for that division. And can there be anyone that can beat him? Because he took on Vosdik, who seemed like to be, before Bivol, I mean, Bivol, I personally thought Vosdik would be a bigger challenge to Beterbiev than Bivol would be. But Beterbiev took that challenge, and what I like, I think it was Triple J. I thought you said that those two had the highest knockout percentage going into a fight of all time between them two.
I don't know about all time, but the knockout percentage, Beterbiev had a 100% knockout percentage. Still does have a 100% knockout percentage.
Which is gross.
Alexander Vosdik had, I think at the time it was 17-0, so he was at about 82%. So combine those together, you're probably at about 90%. It's pretty ridiculous. So someone was getting knocked out. It just happened to be Beterbiev knocking out Vosdik.
Yeah, I don't. You were telling me about that, and I thought I looked it up. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look it up later. But I felt like it was like one of the highest knockout percentages of all time between two undefeated fighters. Was the weird stat, the ESPN Ocho stat that would have between the two. It was an amazing fight. That was Triple J's fight of the week. I hope you guys watched that before going to our show last week because that is an amazing fight to watch. Filthy Rich, talk a little bit about Beterbiev for us.
Beterbiev will knock you out just like that tecate is knocking you out, Jimmy James. I see you over there.
It's almost gone.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's not much I can really add. I think your takes are all there. I agree 100% and all that good stuff. I think if we haven't said anything yet, what Beterbiev did to Vosdik is something that Bivol was supposed to be doing to his competition, and that's why that gap between 1 and 2 is so deep. It is because what we expect out of Beterbiev, he delivers. I also want to keep in mind, going back to Golovkin getting Canelo, and I don't like using this example, but I know that they're the two big names that the casual fan has probably heard of. But in order for Golovkin to get Canelo on the bait, he had to look vulnerable. And maybe that is what's going on with Bivol. He has to make himself look like, hey, look, you can beat me. You can beat me. I can go 12 rounds. I can be beaten. So there might be a little playing possum in there. I just want to keep that in mind. I don't know if that is necessarily true. I still think Beterbiev beats him. And I don't want to break any news here, but a piece of me says he might beat Bivol faster than he beat Vosdik.
All right, well, that was going to be my final question on this was better Biev versus Bivol. Who you got? Filthy Rich, you obviously have better Biev. What round you got him in? A knockout or what?
I mean, Vosdik went, 11 rounds, I think is when it finally got stopped. I don't think it went 12.
I thought it was like 9 or 10, but I got to look that up again. I think
What-
it
what-
was late.
We talking about
I think Bivol can go
10th round.
10th round.
Was it 10? Okay. So I think Bivol can probably make it 10 rounds with better BF, especially better BF style isn't swing for the fences. It is basically wear yourself out and I will wear you down at the same time. And then we'll see who's got enough in the tank in the championship rounds. I would take better BF, probably 10-ish, I guess.
So you got better Biev in a knockout in round 10 against Bivol. What do you
Something
got
like-
there, Triple J?
Look, you were bringing up before, you think Bivol is undersized. I'm going to tell you right now, Better Biev, Bivol are the same height.
Have you seen
Vosdik
Better
is
BF's
six-
arms?
is
Look at his
6'2".
arms, though.
Yeah, he might be
Bicep
built.
check on him. His biceps are going to be bigger than Beevil's. They could be the same height and obviously the same weight. But Better Biev's arms are no joke. Those biceps are something.
They're
His
pythons.
Look, man, do I got to quote some Rocky stuff? Look, in Rocky 4, that man was considered a piece. Rocky was considered a piece of iron. All right, you just keep hitting him and hitting him and hitting him and hitting him and hitting him. And Better Biev sounds like he's built like a piece of iron, and that's perfectly fine.
And he's
Bivol,
Russian.
somebody who's not going to, he's not, like I said before, he's not going to knock you out right now. I don't know why he lost it. I don't know when he lost it. Well, I know when he lost it, but I don't know why he lost it. Bivol is skilled. He is super fast, very sound fighter, but is going to boil down to those who hits better. Not even more. It's going to be
Harder.
who hits better.
harder.
Harder or
Even
better?
harder, man. Even better, man. Better. I think who hits better.
Okay.
So,
So who do you got then between Better Biev and Bivol? Who you got?
I just because Bivol, I don't see that power there. I think it's gonna go. I think it's gonna go further. I think it goes 12 rounds. I think it goes to decision.
And you got Better Biev in a decision?
Can I get back to you on that? Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to boil down to more power shots hitting, more power shots landing. I don't think Bivol is going to go down easy. Not like Vosdik was an easy target either, but I think Bivol's a little quicker, a little more agile, a little fast on his feet. I think it goes to decision, probably be Bivol in 12 by split.
Wow.
Or I
Split
mean,
decision.
Better BF by split.
By a split decision.
Yeah.
Wow. That tecate might be getting to his mind a little bit here, Filthy Rich. But that's
you know,
I love to bring Triple J into the next show because I like to have that
Perfect
opposite opinion here. And obviously he's an opposite opinion of Filthy Rich and myself because we both think Better Biev is one of the most extended out better fighters in this division. And he's just got Bivol losing by a split decision, which is, hey, it's not a wrong decision. I love the difference between you two. I like that, and we need to see that fight. Then let's see that fight. Can we get that fight to happen? That should
Yeah,
be the next
I'll
fight.
make
That
it
should
happen.
What's that?
I'll make it happen.
You're gonna make it happen. Okay. I don't know who the promoters are. Better Biev and Bivol. You know that one, Filthy Rich? The promoters?
No.
Nah.
It's two Russians. Here's the thing. When you took that deep breath, pausing to think about who was going to win, I took that same deep breath when it was Vosdik and Better Biev. And boy, was I wrong. And you're taking that same deep breath that I feel like you should have learned your lesson. We were talking about Lomachenko fighting these guys over the last few weeks. And every time the public or the media, the press, they're all saying, this is the one. Oh, my God, here it is. And then Lomachenko destroys them. At some point, we all have to learn these lessons. And right now, I'm telling you, Better Biev, that long pause, I've taken that long pause before. Better Biev's beaten this dude. I don't know if it goes like you're saying it's going 12. It's not going 12, man. I don't know if Bevo really beats Vosdick. I mean, part of with Bevo and Vosdick, I put Vosdick third because he lost to Better Biev, and I put Bevo second because he hasn't lost, but he's still beaten some competition.
Right.
So, like, I guess I don't know if that concludes. If we have anything else, if there's another tecate laying around, you need to whatever you got to do, let me know. That's all I got.
Well, I think if that fight happens, that's something that we're gonna have to live stream just so you guys can fight back and forth about that fight.
Loser. Here's what we'll do. I'm not a gambling man, but we'll do this. Better Biev wins. You drink tecate. Evo wins. I drink tecate.
We have a tecate bet on.
Great. The tecate off.
No, I'm
Wait a
not
minute.
doing this. Never mind.
Triple J
Because
said-
Raiter's not involved. If Raiter Live's not involved, I'm not doing it. Never mind.
Triple J said that Better Biev would win, though. So I mean, I'm just pointing that out. You should bet whether or not it's going to go the distance. That should be the bet you guys should make.
No, I'm not betting anything until you get involved.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Just because I'm the host of the show and I'll take the loser's side no matter what. So that'll give you guys.
That's a guarantee.
Yeah, a guarantee. Just to make you guys bet
Yes.
more, I will do whatever the loser has to do
Sold.
with the loser.
Sold.
Does that sound like a good thing for you, Filthy Rich?
Man, I guess.
Virtual handshake.
Lost. You just lost. You signed up to lose. You signed up to drink tecate is basically what you're saying. It's not a smart move on you, man.
Well,
I can't wait for that conversation.
I'm gonna have to get really drunk before the show, so it'll taste really good. I mean, and by the way, has anyone ever gone to a bar where they actually serve tecate? I don't think
No.
that's a thing.
Hey, tweet us your photos. Go to a bar, tweet me a photo. Brews and Boxing on Twitter. You know how it
go
works.
to a bar
You're
and get
involved.
tecate on tap. I will follow you and we will mention you on the show. If you can send me a picture of tecate on tap at any bar in the world, we will put you on the show.
Ooh, careful about the word.
I could put them on the show. I put the picture on the show, no problem. All right, that feels good for the Filthy Five. I feel like we covered that pretty good. Let's move on to the 13th round. 13th round, me and Filthy Rich talked a little bit about Odell Beckham to the Vikings. Triple J, I know you are a giant football guy. I mean, you and me have been in fantasy football leagues for like 20 years now together. And we owned a team together for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Come on, Filthy Rich. And we've been very successful. I feel like in my league, you made the money every year except for this year. In my league, or for 2 years, and my league has been going for 20 years now. So
Yep.
He is a
Top three.
We call that an elite football mind in the business, is what we call that. Although somehow we both disagree on a lot of things, and we also share a team, which is weird because we fight every time of the draft, but end up with an awesome team. So we talked a little bit about this week. Odell Beckham was rumored to go to the Vikings for a 2nd and a 5th round pick of next year. Filthy James.
Filthy
Triple-
James. This is done. Tecate is done.
Tecate is done. Well played, sir.
Welcome.
Triple J, what do you think about Odell Beckham to the Vikings?
You know, we just traded Stephon Diggs to the Bills.
Yes, we did.
Got some decent stuff for him. But he was kind of a prima donna. Thought he was better than he was. Just creating issues. I don't see this. Look, talent-wise, OBJ is better than Diggs.
Yeah.
And Thielen.
I don't. While I see it, if I was looking at purely, stats and his physical prowess and things like that, and his field presence, like OBJ is better than Diggs. He's going to draw more attention. He's going to open up the rest of our offense, but you're going to have to pay that man.
Mm-hmm.
We just got rid of Diggs because he was also a head case. OBJ, let's just say, I think he's a head case as well. I don't see that being a benefit to our team. He's not going to be a captain or a team player. He's going to be I'm in it for OBJ. Just like kind of Diggs kind of sounded like he was in it for Diggs. I just don't see it. You're going to have to pay him unless we already have salary cap issues. Unless Kirk Cousins decides that he's going to drop some of that salary that he has to restructure his contract, which he probably should anyway.
I said that already.
Just because of how much we've already lost with cornerbacks and all this other. I don't see it as a benefit. I think it's a great headline. It's interesting for Vikings fans to be in top headline.
Let me tell you something. That tecate really makes your brain work, man. You sound like a smart dude right now. You should be drinking more tecate, if you ask me. That sounds like everything I was saying last week. Continue.
I just don't. He's a good talent. Would he be a benefit? Maybe, but I don't think he would in the locker room. And I think that's where he's going to do more damage.
Well, that's what I kind of mentioned last week. When I was talking to Filthy Rich about it, I'm like, I worry about them games where Odell Beckham gets 4 targets if he's going to freak out on the sideline. That they run the ball 35 times. But if they're winning solves all issues.
Yes, that's exactly it. 4 catches, it doesn't even matter. If you're winning, you don't need to worry about a head case. You need to win.
Right. If you're winning, then that solves everything. If you're losing, that's when all that stuff comes out.
It's not going to be because of him they're losing, though. There's a salary issue. It goes to the secondary, and you can find money in Kirk Cousins' pocket.
Now, when I was talking to you, Filthy Rich, about it this week on the show, I was thinking that it was just going to be a terrible burden on everything. And then I started to think about it a little bit. I watched Colin Cowherd on his show. And I watched a few other things. I started to think about it a little more. I'm like, man, that might really open up the running game a little bit because you're going to have to double OBJ. It's going to open up Adam Thielen a lot across the middle. And it's going to open up – they're not going to be a stack the box. Right now, they're going to stack the box on you because you got Thielen. That's it. You need to have somebody over there. And if you have a rookie over there, that may not be that's not going to draw double coverage over there, no matter who the rookie is. Even if you draft him in the first round, it's one of these first-round rookies. It's not going to matter. Now, if you have OBJ over there, you're going to have to pay attention to OBJ. I mean, and OBJ is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And, OBJ had his best season under Eli Manning. And I'm sorry, but Kirk Cousins is better than Eli Manning. He is. He's better than Eli Manning.
He's not. That's ridiculous.
Super Bowl champion. 2-time Super Bowl champion.
You got to be kidding me. He's better than Eli Manning.
Better than Eli Manning.
Eli play for the Vikings, you wouldn't say anything like that.
Eli Manning's stats are ridiculously bad.
Nobody would trade a franchise quarterback. Even as crappy as Washington is, they would not trade a guy who is better than Eli Manning, someone in their own division. You're telling me that this guy is better than Eli Manning and they trade him? That's ludicrous. It's ludicrous.
Hey, that's the way I feel. I actually feel like looking at it now, if you can figure out a way to get this under the salary cap, and I don't know how you could do it, but because I'm not a salary cap expert.
This is a boxing show.
I'm actually getting, it's a boxing show. And Triple J and me will have a fantasy football show coming up. That's kind of what I want to talk about here a little bit. But I feel like this is going to be a good thing. Now, let me ask you this, Triple J. His replacement, Diggs, who left here. Do you agree with me on the fact that Diggs is not a fantasy reliable quarter or a wide receiver in Buffalo as he was in Minnesota?
You talking about reliability?
Do you have him in your top 15 wide receivers?
Ooh, man, Buffalo with Josh Allen.
That's a good spot. 15, he's right on that cusp of a top 15.
Well, he's the number one in Buffalo, and is he better than half the league at number one receivers? Basically at 15 is what he is.
You're right. Yeah, he is about 15-ish. If you say I think top 10 is a stretch, and I think not in the top 20 is a stretch as well. But he's right there.
I think he's outside the top 20. I really do. I feel like
he's outside the top. Oh gosh,
I really do. I feel like I can name
tecate,
receivers better than him fantasy wise this year. I know you don't play fantasy.
Yeah, it's not about fantasy. Turn fantasy's off. Just watch the game. You don't need to play fantasy to know what you're talking about.
But the question was fantasy relevance.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about. Oh, all right. We need
oh, well, no.
Fantasy.
He's all fantasy relevance, man. I think he's in the top 20. 15's a good spot. It's very, very difficult, man. John Brown really came out in his own with that offense. I don't know if they're still going to have Frank Gore. the Highlander of
My
the
guy.
running backs. Devin Singletary is one hell of a running back. I think he's gonna shine big time. Going to take some time off of that, but Josh Allen still runs around. John Brown's still there. Cole Beasley, is he still?
Yeah.
That guy, he's a ridiculous slot receiver for whatever reason. The Don Beebe-esque Cole Beasley, I guess. But top 15, I think he's still in the top 20 because he still has top end speed, but it really all depends on how Josh Allen's actually going to throw the ball. If they start throwing the ball.
This year, last year, he was ranked around that 20 range. Diggs was around that 20-21 range, and that was with Kirk Cousins. And obviously, you had Thielen on the same side. But did he improve with Josh Allen? I feel like he downgraded in quarterback with Josh Allen.
Boxing show.
He definitely downgraded in quarterback. But you can't deny if you go from the Vikings offense where he was a 1 or 2 and you go into an offense where he's the number 1, he's going to get targets. It's just a matter of what's the volume. Josh Allen, he doesn't throw a lot. They could change that this year. We have no idea. I know there was a lot of coaching changes that I'd have to look into, but Devin Singletary is going to be the guy back there. He's going to take some heat off of those receivers, but they still got John Brown, Diggs. I don't think Diggs in the top 15, top 20 maybe, top 30 for sure.
All right, good. Well, that's a little bit of the insight you're going to get on me and Triple J's fantasy football show that's going to be coming up here soon, so be watching for that. Also, you mentioned Frank Gore. He is the Manny Pacquiao of the NFL. He is the Highlander. We call Frank Gore the Manny Pacquiao of the NFL. All right, the Filthy Van question of the week was talking about the best fighter today. Filthy Rich talked about Lomachenko as the best fighter today, pound for pound. I think we all like Lomachenko as at least, if not number 1, at least number 2 as pound for pound. Next week for our opening show, where us three bring in Triple J into it, we're going to be talking about lightweights this week. So just a little quick preview on Lomachenko. Go ahead, Triple J. Your thoughts on Lomachenko being Filthy Rich's best boxer fighting today?
Vasily Lomachenko. What can you say?
That's what I was asking you.
He's got the best amateur record in boxing, 396-1. It's ridiculous. His foot skills, his speed, his precision, his power. It's just second to none right now. It is amazing. If you want to have a fun fight, you watch a Vasyl Lomachenko fight. It's just that simple. He is a tactician. He is high tech. He is the Matrix. He is the best pound for pound fighter currently right now. And all he does is take on the best fighters.
Well, I feel like that's a spoiler alert for next week's show. I feel like we may have another BAB champion coming up next week. As a spoiler alert, but I was going to ask you about Teofimo Lopez between the both of you, but I think we'll talk about that next week because since we're doing lightweights on our Filthy Five next week, I feel like that'd be a good little segue to tune into next week to talk about who's going to win these fights with Lomachenko coming up. It sounds like Lomachenko may be a champion, but you're going to have to tune in to find out if he's going to make the BAB champion, and the fact that we're going to follow him on Twitter, which is the biggest title he will ever win in his career, if that's the case. You guys got anything else to add?
If you want to watch some fights before next week's episode, start with Roman Martinez. Vasily Lomachenko, Roman Martinez. That was a springboard to what's to come. There ain't no bad fight to watch for this, but that's a springboard. You want to see his skills and watch Lomachenko, watch that. That is some fun watching.
Well, actually, I was going to ask that after this. That was going to be Triple J's fight of the week to watch. What was it? Lomachenko versus who?
Roman Martinez.
Roman Martinez. Watch that fight before watching the Brews and Boxing that comes out on Thursday next week. Filthy Rich, you got anything to add on Lomachenko?
No, I kind of covered everything. I should know everything, man.
You do know everything. All right. For Filthy Rich, Triple J, Judge Jimmy James, I'm Raiter Live, and Tecate, we thank you for joining us this week, and tune in next week as we combine the shows together, because we're going to have, next week we're going to have Brews and News. We're going to have Filthy 5. The 13th round is going to be a game show between these two where they can fight maybe over Tecate again. We don't know. We're going to have the Filthy Fan Question of the Week. We're going to have everything. Please tune in this Thursday for Brews and Boxing, episode 6 coming up. Is it 6 or 5? 5 or 6? 5. I'm sorry, episode 5. That's where we're bringing everything together. We also have a very special thing on the horizon for episode 10. You need to stay tuned to find out about that. For Judge Jimmy James, Filthy Rich, I'm Raiter Live. Thank you all for tuning in. Good night, gentlemen.
See ya, man.
Good night.
All right. Peace out.